So if you guys are not aware, HeroMiners has come out against Dynex for Dynex requesting them to limit their hash rate to 40% or below. Now, the reasoning behind this, of course, is that in the past, the biggest risk to a cryptocurrency network or a blockchain has been a 51% attack, and that is executed by a single entity having over 51% of the network hash rate. Now, that does require, of course, a malicious actor. In the case of pools, they usually don't work against their own best interests, so the pool developers will not execute a 51% attack on a coin that they're profiting off of. That being said, you know, if a malicious actor decided to hack that pool and then take over that hash rate and attack the network, that could be feasible. We haven't seen that happen in quite some time since the early days of cryptocurrency, but it is still a threat, and that is clearly what Dynex is trying to prevent. Now, before we get into this, Dynex has had a history of requesting these types of changes from cryptocurrency mining pools, and this has been done in the past. I think we had talked about this quite a long time ago, maybe about a year ago. Dynex had implemented one of these enforcements on another pool. I don't recall which pool, but give me 1 second. I'm going to need to get some water. That's better. Sorry about that. So we're talking about Dynex. And so they've already had a history of essentially requesting pools to make these changes. And at the end of the day, the reasoning is clear that they want to basically keep the network decentralized, but to a certain extent that demonstrates censorship. Now, Yeti made this post on their Discord and said, as head of Dynex security, please can you give me an ETA on implementation of the 40% community voted hash rate lock? If I do not hear back an ETA on this by 8 p.m. UTC, I will take that as you are not willing to comply with our request for you to follow the community vote. We will be left to no other choice but to suspend your pool until you become compliant with the community voted 40% maximum hash rate. We do not take this step lightly, I think he meant to say, and would prefer your cooperation in this matter. Network security is important for what we do, and HeroMiners basically choosing to not implement a community voted option is unacceptable. So what this exposes essentially is the willingness and capability. This is happening a lot, by the way. Neither party is looking too good right now, by the way, but this exposes the willingness and capability of the Dynex project to censor miners, essentially, which basically invalidates it as an open, decentralized, immutable blockchain. And that's pretty much what we've found now. So, I understand the reasoning behind it, which is like, well, we're going to focus on trying to remain as decentralized as possible, but you're going to give up, you know, essentially security. And well, you're going to be censoring the blockchain to do so. Now, HeroMiners decided to call this out and said, the mining and crypto community, we inform you with great sadness that we were given an ultimatum today by Dynex to limit our pool's hash rate to 40% or become blacklisted and banned from mining Dynex. Obviously, without a doubt, we cannot fulfill such outrageous requests as it represents everything crypto is designed to destroy, centralization at its most extreme, imposed through top-down authority and control. So apparently Yeti also blocked Jacob. which I talk to all of these people, okay? I have to cover this as objectively as possible. And so I do agree with this being, censorship of the network, and banning a pool is clearly not a good thing, right? Obviously, it's also not a good thing to have 51% of the hash rate on a single pool. So both things are not good. But as a blockchain, you can't go around blacklisting people. I don't know what the beef between the two people are. Clearly, Yeti is trying to not explain why Jacob is banned, but if you're going to ban the, basically, for those not in the know, Jacob, Jakub, is one of the, I believe, a developer for HeroMiners. So, and I've talked to him plenty. If you're going to have that ban go into place, obviously it's going to be, difficult for that person to, like, how are you going to work with someone that you've banned from the Discord and then make demands? I used to think that, I think Yeti's done some good work in the past. I think that this is very clearly not the best approach that you could make, Yeti. So I'll give that personal advice to you. Like, you can't ban the dude that works with the pool that you're trying to get to do something, right? It's not like it doesn't work out for anyone. So it said we don't adhere, and we and all DNX HeroMiners miners will feel its oppressive consequences designed to enforce compliance through fear, coercion, and restriction. Our top 3 miners contributed a combined 31 megahash a second. That's almost 40% of the network's total hash rate. If they decide to collaborate with other pools, get blacklisted, will they not be able to mine at all because wherever they go, they will be rejected? I assume, and I assume that they're going to block the stratums for HeroMiners specifically. I don't think, like, if they, the big problem with Dynex for a long time, and we've had this discussion numerous times, right? Where essentially, because of the manner in which Dynex is computing work, right? The proof of useful work. There is a degree of centralization that has to take place because of the distribution of the jobs in general. You're not able to build your own node for Dynex and mine to it, right? Outside of, I think technically there's a way to do it, but, they don't want you to do that, so they'll ban you. And there was obviously a way with BZ Miner to do only the proof of work portion and not the useful work portion. So you could do that just to validate, but you're not going to make as much money, that sort of stuff. But it's a tricky situation all around, right? It says that crypto is created to dismantle the power of centralized authorities, and imposing a 40% cap is antithetical to these principles and undermines the very innovation that brought us together. However, the decision to diversify your mining effort is entirely up to you. As an intermediary, we hold no authority over how you allocate your resources. We're here to facilitate and support, not dictate your choices. Your approach should reflect your own judgment. The DNX team justifies this demand based on a vote held in their Discord community, a vote that is easily subject to manipulation by bots or limited participation. I mean, limited participation, yes. The vote should be some sort of, BIP32 on Bitcoin, for example, where the miners make the vote and it's voted on chain. I think that would be the way to go through with this if you wanted to prove that, everybody is in consensus about making these changes. And they do say that. So I agree with that. I think the way that the vote, and I've had a problem with this for quite some time. I think we just talked about, Warthog in particular, essentially locking down the wallet for ZEGX so that nobody lost their funds, and they didn't even do a vote in Discord. But when it was mentioned that like next time they do a vote in Discord, it's like, well, if you're really going to be serious about this, the votes need to be on chain. And I do agree with that. Like voting for changes to the blockchain need to be on chain. And if you can't figure out how to do it, then don't make the changes. Now, in opposition to that, right, I could say, like, if you're a miner that doesn't agree with it, obviously, like we said before, don't upgrade your nodes. This is different though, because obviously Dynex has a lot more control from a developer team perspective over the network than a traditional blockchain has. So because nobody has access to really build their full node to mine to, right? Dynex has complete centralized control. And this is a reason why there were pools and pool ops and developers that decided, not to implement Dynex, Viper.net being an example. And this was the reasoning. And I supported that reasoning too. I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. You're not going to have any control over this. It's clear that the developers have full control over it. If you want to be a centralized chain to do this proof of useful work, I don't think that there's a place for everything within cryptocurrency, but you can't force that on the participants. So, I think at this point it's like, okay, well, HeroMiners will just get blacklisted and it's over. I think that's really what it has to come down to, is like HeroMiners needs to just drop support. And I don't think that starting the drama over it's going to fix anything. So that's kind of where I come in as far as all this is concerned. Like, clearly the principles of Dynex don't align with HeroMiners. So HeroMiners coming out and like basically requesting that we allow 51%. It's like, what you want me to fight for 51% or censorship, right? Like, if those are my two options, then like I'm not going to vote on this bullshit. Like, it's just call it a day, be done with it, right? The fact of the matter, though, is like if Dynex becomes profitable enough, then people will do whatever they can to mine the cryptocurrency. And we've talked about this plenty of times before. So I think a lot of this does have to do with the fact that HeroMiners doesn't want to lose the revenue. But I have to say, like, and I've had to make these decisions 100,000 times myself, guys. Jacob, I know if you watch this later, I'm going to talk to you now too. I'm going to say, look, I've given up 6 figures at least in sponsorships and etc. to adhere to my principles that I follow. If your principles are that you don't support this, drop support for Dynex and move on. And that's about it. But also, I mean, like, dear Lord, guys, this is a small community. Like, there's just a few of us, right? In this proof of work community. Like, I talked to Jacob. I talked to Matt from Viper. I talked to, all of the mining YouTubers. I talked to, everybody that's involved, right? Yeti and everybody that's involved. I chat with everyone, and we do have to come to that realization that like some people just don't agree on the way to move forward, and that's fine. You just have to stand by what your decision is, right? And try not to let the money get in the way of making the decision that you can sleep with. And I think that's with everything in life, really. So that's the big update on HeroMiners and Dynex. I think it is looking bad for Dynex from the perspective of censorship. I don't like that. Like the thing they're trying to protect against is that Dynex is in a, I will say this. I think because of the nature of proof of useful work and its specific implementation on the end, on Dynex's end, that a 51% attack has higher incentives and would destroy the chain and their control over the chain. And that's why it's so serious to them. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.